Good evening, everyone. How are you? Good to see you this Wednesday night, sharing my birthday with me. I want to thank you all for coming in. Don't forget to give me that like. I would appreciate a big like. And make sure to subscribe if you are new to my channel. Hit that subscribe button. But first, before we get into chapter 5, I want to show you this beautiful Christmas bookmark my daughter made for my book here for us. Isn't that gorgeous? Just gorgeous. And I love it. So I am going to set that right over here behind our fireplace. All right. And where we left off, K.O. and Dr. Wynne Jeffries went to dinner together at Shay Jerome's. And she had a really good time. Let me know if you guys can hear me very well. I want to make sure I'm coming in clear. I would appreciate it. All right. Chapter 5. The phone woke K.O. out of a dead sleep. Let me turn my light on, you guys. There we go. She rolled over, glanced at the clock on her nightstand, and groaned. It was already past 8. Lying on her stomach, she reached for the phone and hoped it wasn't a potential employer asking her to come in for an interview. Actually, she prayed it was a job interview, but one with more notice. "Good morning," she said in her best business-like voice. "Catherine, it's Levon. I didn't phone too early, did I?" In one easy motion, K.O. drew herself into a sitting position, swinging her legs off the bed. "Not at all," she rubbed her face with one hand and stifled a yawn. "So," her neighbor breathed excitedly, "how'd it go?" K.O. needed a moment to consider her response. Levon was obviously asking about her evening with Wynne. However, she hadn't had time to analyze it. Dinner was incredible, she offered, and hoped that would satisfy her friend's curiosity. Of course dinner was incredible. Jerome promised me it would be. I'm talking about you and Wynne. He's a very nice, don't you think? Did you notice the way he couldn't take his eyes off you? Didn't I tell you? It's just like I saw in the kitty litter and the Raisin Bran. You two are meant for each other. Well, K.O. mumbled, not knowing. Hello, Sarah. How are you? Thanks for stopping in. Not knowing which question to answer first, she preferred to avoid them all. She quickly reviewed the event of the evening and was forced to admit one thing. Wynne wasn't anything like I expected. He said the same about you. You've talked to him? If K.O. wasn't awake before, she certainly was now. What did he say? She asked in a rush, not caring that Levon would realize how interested she was. Exactly that, Levon said. Wynne told me you were nothing like he expected. He didn't know what to think when you walked into my condo. He was afraid the evening would end up with someone calling the police and then he had a stupendous night. That was the word he used, stupendous. Really, K.O. positively glowed with pleasure. He had the look when he said, "What look?" "The look," Laban repeated, emphasizing the word, "of a man who's fallen in love." "You had a good time, didn't you?" "I did," K.O. doubted she could have lied at all. She did have a wonderful evening, shockingly wonderful. In fact, and that made everything 10 times worse. She wanted to view Wynn as a lunatic, confounding young parents, a Grinch out to steal Christmas from youngsters all across America. How could she berate him and detest him if she was in danger of falling in love with him? This was getting worse and worse. "I knew it," Levon sounded downright gleeful. "From the moment I saw those raisins floating in the milk, I knew. The vision told me everything." "Everything, everything," Levon echoed. "It came to me as profound as anything I've seen with my psychic gift. You and Dr. Jeffries are perfect together." K.O. buried her face in her hand. She had fallen asleep in a haze of wonder and awakened to the shrill ring of her phone. She couldn't explain last night's feelings in any rational way. She wasn't attracted to Wynn, she told herself. How could she be? The man who believed children should set their own rules? The man who wanted to eliminate Santa Claus? But she was beginning to understand what was going on here. For weeks she had been stuck inside her condo, venturing outside only to meet Christmas letter clients. If she wasn't transcribing medical records, she was filling out job applications. With such a lack of human contact, it was only natural that she be swept along on the tide of romance Levon had so expertly arranged for her. "Wynn told me you were seeing him again this evening," Levon said eagerly. "I am," K.O. vaguely remembered that. "Oh, right, I am." Her mind cleared and her memory fell into place like an elevated, suddenly dropping 13 floors. Oh my goodness. "Yes, as it happened," she said, trying to think of a way out of this. "I invited Wynn to accompany me to the figgy pudding event at Westlake Place." She invited him. What was she thinking? What was she thinking? Mentally, she slapped her hand against her forehead. Before this afternoon, she had to find a way to excuse or to cancel. "He's very sweet, isn't he?" Levon said. "He is," K.O. didn't want to acknowledge, but he was. He had done it on purpose. She just didn't know why. What was his purpose in breaking down her defenses? She needed to think. She pulled her last feet up onto the bed and wrapped one arm around her knees. He had been sweet and alarmingly wonderful. Oh, he was clever. But what was behind all that charm? Nothing good, she'd bet. "I have more to tell you," Levon said, lowering her voice to a mere whisper. "It happened again this morning." She paused. "I was feeding the boys." K.O. had half a mind to stop her friend, but for some perverse reason she didn't. And then Levon added, her voice gaining volume, when I poured the dry cat food into the bowls, some of it spilled onto the floor. You got a reading from the cat food, K.O. Suppose this shouldn't surprise her. Since Levon had taken that class, everything imaginable provided her with insight. Mostly it seemed into K.O.'s life, her love life, which is, at this point, had been a blank slate. Would you like to know how many children you and Win are going to have? Levon asked triumphantly. Any twins? K.O. asked, playing along. She might as well. Levon was determined to tell her, whether she wanted to hear it or not. Twins, Levon repeated in dismay. Oh my goodness. I didn't look that closely. That's fine. Levon took her seriously. Still, twins are definitely a possibility. Sure as anything, I saw 3 children. Multiple births run in your family, don't they? Because it might be triplets. Triplets? It was too hard to think about this without her morning cup of coffee. Listen, I need to get off this phone. I'll check in with you later, K.O. promised. Good. You'll give me a regular update, won't you? On the triplets? No, Levon returned, laughing. Oh, you and Win. The babies come later. Okay, she resigned to continuing the charade. Everything might have been delightful, romantic night before, but this was a whole new day. She was beginning to figure out his agenda. She criticized his beliefs, especially about Christmas, and now he was determined to change hers. It was all a matter of pride, male pride. She'd been vulnerable, she realized. The dinner, the wine, Chef Jerome, a carriage ride, walking in the snow, Christmas. He actually used Christmas to weaken her resolve. The very man who was threatening to destroy the holiday for children had practically seduced her in Seattle's winter wonderland. What she recognized now was that in those circumstances, she would experience the same emotions with just about any man. As was her habit, K.O. weighed herself first thing and gasped when she saw she was up by 2 pounds. That fabulous, delicious dinner had come at a price. 2 pounds. K.O. had to keep a constant eye on her weight. Unlike her sister, Zelda was naturally thin, whereas K.O. wasn't. Her only successful strategy for maintaining her weight was to weigh herself daily and make adjustments in her diet. Even before she finished putting on her workout gear, the phone rang again. K.O. could always hope that it was a potential employer, but caller ID informed her it was her sister. Merry Christmas, Zelda, K.O. said. This was one small way to remind her that keeping Santa away from Zoe and Zara was fundamentally wrong. Did you get it? Zelda asked excitedly. Did you get Dr. Jeffrey's autograph for me? You didn't, did you? Zelda's disappointment was obvious. Not exactly. Did you even talk to him? Her sister pressed. Oh, yes. We did plenty of that. She recalled their conversation, thinking he might have manipulated that in order to win her over to his side, the dark side. She thought grimly. like nitrate without Aslan and no Christmas. A stunned silence followed. Together? You and Dr. Jeffries were together? We went to dinner. You went to dinner with Dr. Jeffries? All became complete disbelief. Yes, at Chez Jerome. K.O. felt like the same name dropping. She couldn't help it. No one ate at Chez Jerome. It was amusing. Zelda gasped. You're making this up. I don't find this amusing. I'm not, K.O. insisted. Levon arranged dinner, and it was incredible. In fact, I gained 2 pounds. A short silence ensued. Okay, I'm sitting down and I'm listening really hard. You better start at the beginning. Okay, she said. I saw Wynne, Dr. Jeffries, in the French cafe. I already knew that part. I saw him again, K.O. stopped abruptly, thinking better of telling her sister about the confrontation and calling him names. Not that referring to him as Jim Carrey and Charles Dickens was especially insulting, but still. Anyway, it was not important now. Why isn't it? Well, Wynne and I agreed to put that unfortunate incident behind and start over. Oh my goodness, what did you do? Zelda demanded. What did you say to him? You didn't embarrass him, did you? K.O. bit her lip. Do you want to hear about the dinner or not? Yes, I want to hear everything. K.O. then told her about the cocktails at Levon's and her neighbor's connection with the famous chef. She described their dinner in lavish detail and mentioned the carriage ride. The one thing she didn't divulge was the kiss, which shot into her memory like a flaming dart, reminding her how weak she really was. As if reading her mind, Zelda asked, Did he kiss you? Zelda, that's private. He did, her sister said with unshakable certainty. I can't believe it. Dr. Wynne Jeffrey kissed my sister. You don't even like him. According to Levon, I soon will bear his children. What? Sorry, K.O. said dismissively. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, I see this all as a big joke. Not really. I don't even know if I should believe you. Zelda, I'm your sister. Would I lie to you? Yes. Unfortunately, Zelda was right. I'm not this time, I swear it. Zelda hesitated. Did you or did he not get his autograph? Reluctantly, though she was to admit, K.O. didn't have any choice. Not. That's what I thought, Zelda said. Her as a hasty farewell disconnected the call. I apologize if I stutter on my words, y'all. You know I have MS, so sometimes my eyes will turn the words around. So I do correct myself when that happens. And I appreciate your kindness for that. Much as she hated the prospect, K.O. put on her sweats and headed for the treadmill, which she kept stored under her bed for emergencies such as this. If she didn't do something fast to get rid of those 2 pounds, they'd stick her to her hips like putty and harden. Then losing them would be like chiseling them off with a hammer. This, at least, was her theory of weight gain and loss. Immediately, action was required. With headphones blocking outside distraction, she dutifully walked 4 miles and quit only when she was confident that she sweated off what she had gained. Still, a day of reduced calorie intake would be necessary. She showered, changed her clothes, and had a cup of coffee with skim milk. She worked on the McBally's Christmas letter, munching a piece of dry toast as she did. After that, she transcribed a few reports. At 1 o'clock, Levon stopped by with a request. "I need help," she said, stepping into K.O.'s condo. She carried a plate of cookies. "Okay," K.O. made herself look away from the delectable smelling cookies. Her stomach growled. All she had had for lunch was a small container of yogurt and a glass of V8 juice. "I hate to ask," Levon said, "but I wasn't sure where else to turn." "Levon, I'd do anything for you. You know that." Her friend nodded. "Would you write my Christmas letter for me?" "Of course." "That would be a piece of cake. Oh, why did everything come down to food?" "I have no idea how to do this. I've never written one before," she sighed. "My life is pitiful." K.O. arched her brows. "What do you mean, pitiful? You have a good life." "I do. I never married, and I don't have children. I'm getting these Christmas letters from my old college friends, and they're all about how perfect their lives are in comparison to mine, and it is so dull. All I have are my 3 cats." She looked beseechingly at K.O. "Jazz up my life, would you? Make it sound just as wonderful as my girlfriend's, instead of just plain boring." "Your life is not boring." Despite her best efforts, K.O. couldn't keep her eyes off the cookies. "Would you excuse me?" "Oh, sure. I'll be back in a minute. I need to brush my teeth." Her neighbor eyed her respectfully, and K.O. left the room. "It's a trick I have when I get hungry," she explained, coming out of the bathroom, holding her toothbrush, which was loaded with toothpaste. "Whenever I get hungry, I brush my teeth." "You do that?" "Brush my teeth." Her friend regarded her steadily. "How many times have you brushed your teeth today?" 4, no 5. "Promise me you'll take these cookies home." Levon nodded. "I brought them in case I needed a bribe." "Not only will I write your letter, I'll do it today so you can mail it off with your cards this week." Her friend's eyes revealed her gratitude. "You're the best." Ideas were already forming in K.O.'s mind. Writing Levon's Christmas letter would be a snack compared to finishing Bill Macaulay's. Speaking of him, K.O. glanced at her watch. She was scheduled to meet him this very afternoon. "I've got an appointment at 3, she told her friend. "I'll put something together for you right away. Drop it off, see Bill, and then stop at your place on my way back." "Great." Levon was still focused on the toothbrush. "You're meeting Wynn later?" She nodded. "At 6. She should be contacting him and canceling, but she didn't know how to reach him. It was a weak excuse, since she could easily ask Levon his number. Actually, she felt it was time to own up to the truth. She wanted to see Wynn again, just so she'd have some answers. Was she truly attracted to him? Did he have some nefarious agenda with the intent of proving himself right and her wrong? Unless she spent another evening with him, she would find out. "Are you—" Levon waved her hand in K.O.'s direction. "Am I what?" Levon sighed. Are you going to take that toothbrush with you? Of course. I see, her neighbor frowned. My psychic vision didn't tell me anything about that. No, I don't imagine it would, K.O. proceeded to return to the bathroom, where she gave her teeth a thorough brushing. Perhaps, if Wynne saw her foaming at the mouth, he'd know her true feelings about him. And that is Chapter 5. Hello, Nomadic Collective. Thank you for coming in. And we are done with Chapter 5. And we will be moving on to Chapter 6 and 7 next Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Be sure to join us and see if K.O. truly goes out with Dr. Wynne Jeffries. Look forward to the insert for Chapter 6 that will be posted on my channel very soon. I want to thank you all for coming in and sharing my birthday with me and sharing this wonderful, wonderful Christmas letter story. Until then, I'll see you next week in another video. Be sure and give me that like.